teachers, and you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Show X on VTWProductions.com. You are all listening live at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT this Sunday, the 22nd of December. Wow. Or no, 20th. 20th. Wow, I was jumping ahead. I looked at the other one. How did I do that? I know what I did. I looked at the other calendar earlier, and I looked at the wrong time. Well, because I'm kidding here, all excited and all ready for this being the week of Christmas. And so it's just one of those things where I was trying to count the days down, but at the same time I was getting ahead of myself because I was looking at how many more days do you have to like ship gifts and get things to people if you're trying to do that versus how long until we actually get to celebrate, be with family, enjoy great food, and just really enjoy this Christmas season. As everybody that was listening in live during the pre-show got to hear a whole slew of nothing but Christmas music of various sorts because it is that time of year and it is that mood. So, to start things out, just saying very Merry Christmas to everyone out there, and to you, Ken. How are you doing today?
Thank you, sir. That's a point, actually, because next show, Christmas will have passed, which makes this the Christmas show, I suppose. I'm kind of glad that so far it's only once that the show has actually landed on Christmas. As much as I enjoy doing it that time, you know, I also enjoy getting ridiculously drunk to the point where I shouldn't be allowed to do a show, so...
Wait, aren't those the best times to do shows?
Well, some would argue, but then they get removed from YouTube, so...
That's only happened to us like once now.
Yeah, so far. But yeah, I'm good. I'm too in the Christmas season. Sadly, however, my other half is not at the moment because she is quite sick right now.
No!
Yeah, first we thought it was a chest infection, but that kind of developed into full-blown flu. So she, no joke, slept for about 24 hours in the past day. Just been completely KO'd on the couch. Every time I go through to see if she's okay, she's just completely asleep. She woke up about an hour ago and was like, "Oh, I feel fine now."
Oh no!
After literally almost a day of sleep, it was crazy.
A lot of times, that's all you need is the proper amount of rest and relaxation. Let your body catch up.
That's true.
So, with that, I think it's official that we're going ahead and jumping into our whole
functional deviations.
So, other than Kitten being ill up until now, what have you been doing, Ken, this week that's not been geeky for us?
Well, I actually had a shift at the bar, so a friend of ours was also sick. It's kind of a long story. At first it seemed like her appendix broke.
Whoa!
Exploded. Yeah. Turns out it's something similar, but not quite that. Anyway, she's on, like, horse tranquilizers for pain right now, and then was shipped out of the hospital because they can't do anything unless her appendix actually explodes. So she's just like out of it
just
right now.
Suffering.
On meds.
Yeah, no, that is terrible. Yikes!
So I ended up covering like part of her shift last night, which was fun because it's the first time I've been in the pub in a long time and actually did some work. So that was fun. In fact, 5 minutes before I started my shift, I had a guy start on me, which was fun. Trying to start a fight. Because I was standing outside waiting on my lovely wife, who was also working that day, to come along and meet me for both of our shift at the same time. So I was just standing outside waiting on her. And as I spot her down the bottom of the street, I hear a smash behind me. I turn around to see the end movements of the guy who threw it, like the final sort of like hand back kind of motion. So I knew who did it, right? And I was like, I'm not technically working right now, nor am I even a real employee here. I'm really just covering a shift. But nah, that doesn't happen. I mean, he was outside the pub, so technically not our jurisdiction, I suppose. But it was our property he just broke. He just threw like one of the glasses that belongs to the owner. So I went over to him and said, "Oi, out! No more. You've had enough. Go home." And he was like, "Oh, who are you? What are you saying? What are you saying? You?" And I was like, "I work here, kind of." And he pushed me. And at that point, I started to kind of shake with anger, but thankfully there's about 6 of his friends pulled him back straight away. Ken Features and another one of the workers at the bar jumped in between the guy and me, and he kind of got half dragged out of the pub by his friends, who were all much more sober, or at least friendlier.
Gotcha.
And then they all came up to me afterwards and apologized and said, "Oh, he doesn't drink much and he's had too many." And I was like, I mean, fine. I said to them, "Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. It's Christmas. This kind of thing happens." But what I was really thinking was, he is responsible for himself because he is an adult. If he drinks too much, it's still his own fault. If I'm working again, I'll be sure to not let the guy back in, because for me anyway, he's barred. So I wouldn't have that kind of behavior in the pub. I don't think it's fair. On the other patrons more than anything.
Oh yeah, no, you're trying to keep it a pleasant environment for everyone to enjoy the day.
Yeah. So that was a little annoying. The rest of the shift was fine. It was quite busy, but it was fine. It was nice to be back, and it's good. You don't ever forget how to pour a pint. So that was good fun. Other than that, I don't know what I've been up to. Non-geeky. I don't know.
And it's okay because
teaching stopped. So I've been enjoying working from home. I went through to Glasgow yesterday and met up with an old friend who actually was the original creator of the famous coffee spreadsheet.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
So we went out to 3 different coffee bars and tasted a few of those. Also went down to the Glasgow Christmas markets, and I showed him the zebra, venison, wild boar, crocodile burger stand.
Okay. The exotic meats.
Yes, which is cool. They all just taste like beef, to be honest. And we had a couple of beers, and we had some coffee, and that was nice. So we had a good time. Nice catching up with old friends, especially near Christmas time. That's what Christmas time is for.
Yeah, that's what the holiday is for. It is for all of you to get involved and just enjoy family and friends as much as you can.
Exactly. But other than that, believe it or not, that's been my whole non-geek week. So how about you, sir? What have you been up to?
Don't feel bad about that, because I don't know if I have much more to add that isn't geeky. Because for me, I've spent I was trying to think back through the week. I've been gearing up for so many geek things to do that what I have done that's not been geeky, I'm trying to think, and even some of it kind of lingers back and forth on it. I've been watching some shows a little bit. I think I've mentioned it before where I am behind the curve in that I just started watching Supernatural. We talked about that before.
And I told you how it's a girl show.
So far, it's nice because it's a show that I keep on in the background as I do other things for the most part, or if I'm grabbing a bite to eat, something like that. It's not like I'm seriously sitting down like, oh my god, I gotta watch the next Supernatural. But I think I'm almost done with the first season now. So like episode 23-ish or so I think I'm on, where it's just kind of the story arc going up in that. So that's pretty cool. I'm enjoying that. I continue to watch Naruto each night, stuff like that. Again, that's all kind of the consumption I have for content is very near geek, regardless. And so it's like,
Yeah.
Other than that, like the best thing I did was I kind of had a crossover yesterday where I went to, I hung out with my friend B, who's back in town, helped her celebrate her birthday on Friday, just kind of took her out to dinner, caught up, haven't seen her for a while, she moved back from Vegas. So I hung out and did that, which was fine and dandy, except that I pressed myself this entire week with far too little sleep, as I do too often, which you'll hear more about in the geek section. But I ended up I was going to just have her stay here for the night and then take her first thing in the morning back to where she's staying, but it ended up that her mom needed her to get back or something, so I had to take her back to Greeley, which is like an hour-and-a-half drive, and I think I left after we had watched a movie and didn't get her to her place until like 3:30 in the morning or something, and then had to drive back. And I had only had like 4 or 5 hours of sleep that day, and so I'm driving back after being up for like another 20 plus hours. And last thing at night, so terrible. So it was just burning candle, as I always say, on both ends of the candle as well as the middle because I hate myself that much. But then yesterday I got to participate where I got an invite to the group Geekiarchy that I had done my music videos with, both the Game of Thrones and the Firefly videos. They
I haven't
hosted.
heard much about that in a while. How's that going?
Oh, so they're great. They keep producing some great material, and you guys should check them out on YouTube. Check out Geekiarchy. Ginny, who kind of is the main talent there, along with Joey, who's the videographer and producer of everything. They've been putting out more and more content. They did a really great series recently called Deadpool After Dark, which is basically Deadpool interviewing superheroes as though he has a late-night show. And fairly entertaining because they went out and got a bunch of the local cosplayers we have who are really well noted for their cosplays to come in and do little roles in the series. And then from that, they also did, and I haven't watched this one yet, but they basically did a Christmas special with a whole bunch of these superheroes. I have to look at which ones do they, but getting together kind of for a holiday thing. So go check that out as well. But they got together to do kind of a cast and crew party for Christmas at Joey's house last night, and so we all went over there, or a lot of us showed up, and I got to hang out with just a bunch of the Geekiarchy people, which is always a good amount of fun, and was actually my first, well, so two pieces of it. One, to be festive, because it's Christmas season, I decided to wear a nice sweater. I went out and got a Santa hat, and things like that, as well as I brought over to help have fun with everything. I brought over some rum chata and Fireball, which I forget the name of that drink officially, or what the shot is for that. But for me, I can just mix those directly in a glass like I've done on the show before and just sip it, and it's, cinnamony and creamy, so it's very festive. I think very holiday-like. Reminds me of having like a proper eggnog or something. And I got to introduce probably a dozen new people to that, and they were just like, "What is this? This is amazing!" And I'm like, "Of course, I drink candy, and everyone should." But so I helped them appreciate, and
I drink dissolved teeth, more like.
So yummy. But so did that, and this is where it's hard to I don't know if I can separate or blend. So we're going to switch over to Geek Cred pretty quick here. But I'll probably try to let you do the first piece of that, because mine's is that it was the first environment I got to go to where all of us being geeks in the room together, and many of us having taken the time and effort to go perhaps see a movie that just got released, had a moment where we got to sit in a corner and actually gush about our experiences with the new Star Wars movie. But we had to be careful because there were at least 4 people at the party who hadn't seen it yet. And we're just like, okay, you guys, we're not going to say anything, just this, and this. And then they'd go downstairs and catch a smoke or something like that, and it was like, "Oh my god, guys, okay, none of them are here. Hey, blah, 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 blah," and try to gush as much as we could and say things. Because without getting into it yet, because I'm going to do it in the geek section, though, there is a certain respect that I have for movies where if ever I go to a movie and see something that there's reveals or things like that happen that I think were well done, I don't ever want to take that experience away from someone else enjoying it. So
I know this is probably more Geekoscope kind of end of show kind of section topic, but did you see the news article that was getting shared this week about the Boba Fett, the Darth Vader, and the Stormtrooper who beat up a guy outside the film?
No.
After he ran outside, after this guy who'd just seen the film, ran outside to the queue outside and shouted one of the main spoilers. And apparently 4 seconds later, he got genuinely getting beaten to the edge of death by
which is one of those few things that I tend not to advocate violence unless you're a terrorist type thing, and yet that's almost appropriate, and he earned it.
Well, apparently the police came by, did not arrest the 3 guys, and even let them get on and watch the film.
Awesome.
So I don't know if this is a true story or no, but I saw it getting shared earlier. It might be one of those generic Facebooky, shared.
Well, there's some things to talk about. So what I'll do, because this is going to be such a challenge for me, I'm going to switch things over to here. I'm going to do...
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
And I'm going to hold off on trying to talk any more Star Wars things, because I have a plan for it, until after we talk about our more generic and general geek that we've been doing this week.
Are you going to speak entirely in binary so that... translate into maybe Unicode or something?
No. So I've been practicing, and I'm going to try desperately to keep to how I'm titling this show, which is a no spoiler Christmas. I'm going to try desperately for this. So
I'm always concerned it's going to be freaking Pottergate 2.0 every time.
Oh, I know, but this one would be probably even more so. I would not be surprised if people just started unsubbing and flaming if that actually happened. So.
Oh yeah.
So
Understandably.
I have an understanding of that.
Speaking of which, the Potter getting likes. I googled this the other day because I was hoping to find the original show where that happened. So I googled Octail, Hordak, Dumbledore, and Snape or something into Google, and with just those like 4 words, I found this old XML file of an IRC chat from like 9 years ago. Oh, and to be honest, I didn't even recognize like 3/4 of the names in the chat because it was, this is WoW radio days. But apparently, all those old IRC chat logs are available out there somewhere, which is a little bit terrifying, a little bit scary.
That would actually be. I would love to pick that up because one of the challenges I've been having is, I still have on the way back burner because I don't have the time to do it and dedicate enough effort to do the things I'd like to, is to resuscitate the old archives for all of the, the original, basically the original shows from WoW Radio. I'm happy to host that archive for everyone and try to put it together so people could always go back and catch those old shows ever since the site went down. And I have a bunch of the episodes, but I have to go back and re-index all the RSS feeds and make it so that you can actually watch them in order, and that takes specific time and effort that's been on the back burner because of other things I've been trying to do. And so there's that.
Well, there's a whole bunch of programs out there which can do the coding for you for the RSS stuff. So long as we know the main format, which we do, right? It's going to be we search for the string HTTP. Anyway, point being, we can probably manage to do it with a Python script or something much more quickly than editing every single RSS feed by hand, which would take years.
Well, that's what I was starting to do. So we'll see. I'll get it all set up. I have it, I think, posted online. Now I just have to actually get it all connected to an RSS so I can list it and everyone can watch them. Listen to the shows.
Well, I actually know a couple of Python gurus. We could definitely bash like.
Okay, so we need to talk about. So, and there's a little problematic note to say there is, I need to provide significant thanks and props out to our good friend of our network and other podcasting networks out there, Biomed Alchemist. For years now, he has supported our show, Alpha Geek Radio, and other networks, but it has come time for him to essentially stop supporting and stop being our quiet background person behind the network that has paid for, essentially for every year now, our Shoutcast servers. And so he's starting this next year.
We really appreciate his work so far, that's for sure.
Yeah, starting this next year, we're going to have to come up with our own means to figure out how we're going to host the 24/7 feed and things like that. And so know that there's going to be some discussion here around holidays and stuff. There may be a little bit of breaking things here and there at the beginning of the year, but we'll make sure that if nothing else, the live shows, we should be able to continue to get out there. We just got to figure out exactly where we're going to host things. So that's going to be coming up here in this beginning of the next year. Got to figure some stuff out, but keep tuned. Things should keep going. I just have to do some more research. Yay. Just as a heads up. So know that. But yeah, no. Things continue on. Like I said, for this show, though, right now, Ken, could you talk to us a little bit about your geek cred and what you're doing that has been geeky, since that seems to be so much easier for us these last days?
Sure thing that I can. Alrighty. I actually wrote some things in the notes for this.
What?
So here's something we can actually share and both talk about. So last week we kind of mentioned that we were kind of wanting to maybe play some Killing Floor. And then we kind of messed up because it turned out the free weekend ended at the same time the show ended. In other words, we promised everybody that we would be like, hey, let's go and play some freaking Minecraft. Play some freaking Killing Floor. And then we couldn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. That was no fun.
So, what we ended up doing is going and playing some Minecraft instead, kind of, later on in the night. Among with other games. But Mr. Wayne here is kindly hosting a server on his personal machine. And he gave me access. And in that time, in the past week, I may have put an hour or two into it.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm actually quite curious. I wonder if I can check the server logs to actually see like much time you've spent on this.
You'll find them in there right now as well.
I do see you in there right now.
Oh, it's bad.
So one of the things is, and I'm going to see how we can do this. I've forever wanted to keep my internet connection constantly maximized to the best of my ability, including potentially using some of the other computers I have as permanent servers. So one of the ones I do have is the 24/7 server that's running down there that has all of our media and that all the shows, and it goes constantly is playing off of one of the computers with all our archives and such. Another thing is I got another computer donated to me from friend of the show and my gaming buddy Mike, one of these old ones he wasn't using, that I'm thinking of setting up just as a gaming server, where all it would do is be able to basically log in and run multiple game servers so that we can host our own once they're available Black Ops 3 server, Terraria server, Starbound server, all these kind of games a lot of people like to play, including like the Minecraft server I'm running now, so that it's up 24/7 regardless of what my desktop computer's doing. And so I'm thinking I may just keep a Minecraft server running, something that we don't have to pay for because I have the connection, I have the hardware. So that's kind of what I'm looking at the potential to do here in the near future. We'll see. And with that, I may have to look for people that want to be admins or people that, some other things like that, and just kind of figure out what to do. So note that might also be coming.
Indeed. And yeah, for now it is on your personal machine, right? So whenever you play like COD or something, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if there was some slowdown.
It doesn't
or
really
if multiple
affect
people
me.
Connect.
That's the thing. It'll depend how many people run at a time. If it's under 10 people, I doubt it'll even hurt my internet connection. Beyond that, who knows? We'll see. But for the moment, it's not a big deal, and happy to do so.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be good to find out anyway. So if you are interested in joining the Minecraft server, it might be a point to give us a shout, because we could do some testing, and we're always looking for a couple of new users, I think, if that's okay.
People who can see exactly how much effort you've already put into the server and all the crazy things you've already built. Yeah, you say you have built so much stuff.
To be fair, I've not built so much stuff. It's more that I've done a lot of primary labor, I should say.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of mining, pretty much. I don't know if I've built much. I pretty much have a house and a farm, and that's
well, but I mean, you've got the necessities so that everyone's basically ready to go.
Yes.
Which is nice. So anyone who would join in would have a good basis to be able to go and start playing. So, if people need it, if people are interested, we can provide the details to the server and get a few people in and perhaps expand it just a bit. So, that is available, especially for everyone that's VTW, because we are our gaming family, and it would be great to see that. So, think about it. If you're interested, let us know.
Indeed. So yeah, Minecraft. I've been playing a fair bit. There's been a bunch of updates since the last time I played, but other than the fact there's more rock types which have no purpose, and there's rabbits.
Yeah, there are rabbits now.
I've not noticed any difference, to be honest. That's pretty much it. I was expecting to be terrified from not understanding half of the basic things that are going on now, but that's not the case. I'm still going in, still having fun, no problem. And instead of doing the exact same thing which I do every time, which I am still doing, I also want to explore Minecraft a bit more. Normally what I do is I go in, I make a basic house, like really basic, basically just a place with a lot of chests, which mine kind of is right now.
And finally a bed.
And yeah, after like 40 hours of playing a bed, and usually I make a big mine shaft, and that's it. This time I made a giant minecart system. I say system. It's one single track.
It's starting.
Yeah. It takes about 3 minutes at the moment to get from start till the end at full speed. And I've also made a little Pez dispenser system for carts, so you can press a button and get delivered a fresh cart, which is good. And also a system that will automatically store the store the carts into the Pez dispenser if there's nobody riding it. Otherwise, it'll continue letting you ride it, which is cool. So that's been fun to do that. What else have we done? I made a little farm, which I've never done before. The Pez dispenser was crazy, by the way, because I've never done anything with redstone before. I just
interesting,
because
you're doing fine with that so far, because I've not done any circuits or anything like that. So that was
Well, yeah. Well, it took like 3 different tutorials in Minecraft, because the first one was like this 12-year-old that I just couldn't understand. He was too busy being really excited about Minecraft in general. So he was too busy splurging, like, oh, it's so cool, you can do that! And he had a really squeaky voice, and I was like, no, I can't do it, I remember back in my day, when Minecraft first came out, and it wasn't a thing for kids. It was a thing where like autistic adults like myself would play, and that was it. But now it's for kids as well, and I'm not saying there's a bad thing that is for kids. Just you know, it's a little bit. It's been kind of overwhelmed. The population base has been overwhelmed from what I was used to, so that's a little bit odd. Like even now, I was watching. What was it? I was watching. Oh, that's another geek thing I did this week. Actually, I mentioned later. Krampus. The Christmas movie. Yes, Krampus.
Yeah. Yep.
It's. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But when I was watching that film earlier this week, the kid in it, when it's in his room, the camera pans for a second, and in the background, along with like, I don't know, chess or Monopoly or whatever other board games he has, there's a Minecraft thing, and I was like. It's that widespread that it's seen, and it's not only that, but also portrayed as a kid's thing now. Whereas before, it was just like a video game, just like any other. And video games aren't necessarily just for kids. They're always, well, to me anyway, they're often seen as 18+. So seeing that was a little bit of a, okay, that's odd. So yeah. So I played some redstone stuff. I made a giant rail system. Found 3 dungeons so far, made a portal to the nether and made a large building on the opposite side of that so that we have a safe landing zone. If you come join our server, feel free to make use of any of my constructions. I would appreciate if you didn't steal too many of my items, and if you do, feel free to if you replace them. I don't mind if you go in and like make a diamond pick for yourself or something, so long as later on when you get a couple diamonds, you put them back in the chest. That would make me happy.
So it's funny, right? Because that's one of the things for me is I'm usually not great at creating and going through all the other stuff with it. And so I rely heavily on other people being crafty. I'm happy to mine, and I get to the point where I will take everything and put it back in a chest because I'll probably never use it. Like anything I find, other than coal for torches and cobblestone to make my tower to the top of the universe, which is what I always do. And
for me,
as you said, as you saw, like me putting a little water, because the thing I don't know if you know I'm going to build yet or not is once the tower goes all the way up to the max, that little pool of water is my quick way down, because it's going to have a diving board.
Oh, that's smart.
Because I always fall off to do that. Yes.
That is a very, very wise move. Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but I actually built over your river because it was kind of cutting through a path.
Yeah, well, because I initially just made it, and then I saw that you fixed it and made the waterfall still happen.
Yeah, I tried to make it look a bit more aesthetic, was all, because right now it was kind of, it got in the way of the path, and so I mean, I effectively made a bridge of dirt to make it look a bit better.
Yes, I did see that. And because I was originally going to build like an actual bridge, I just wasn't sure how. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's fine. If you want to do that, feel free. I was just in the meantime kind of thing. Anyway, so we also have a communal zone, and if you join the server and you don't know where you are, look for the nearby village. It's not ours, it's a generated one. We were lucky to have that seed.
Yes.
But we've kind of destroyed the village, killed all the villagers. We raped and pillaged all the villagers who are all male, and we took all their stuff. We also stole from them, salted the ground, then left a trail of torches back to our settlement. So look over for the husk of a village and look for the trail of torches leaving there. Follow that trail. Follow the torches. I even put I don't know if you've seen this actually, Wayne, but I put a bridge of cobblestone towards our actual settlement through an ocean to get here.
So I did actually, because the last time when I was watching, I saw like this little jutting of just like cobble going out. I was like, well, that looks awfully specific. I wonder. And sure enough, that's how I was able to find the village again, find our house.
Oh, good. That's exactly why I put it there, so that's good.
Well, because initially you just said, oh, start with following the torches. But you have a habit of putting torches on every hill ever. And so I saw some torches over here, some over there, and it was kind of like, well, okay, let me go to this hill. Oh, wait, no, I don't see everything. Wait, let's go this way. Oh, no, there's lights.
Okay, my rule is torches everywhere except for that one line to the base. So if you see torches, you'll be able. It will eventually trail back to the base anyway, because I always leave a huge trail of them. I like to always know how. It's a breadcrumb trail, right? It's good to get home, and later on I know if I've explored there or not already. So I don't need to go and like find the same cave I've already been in, spend 10 minutes looking through it and find nothing, you know?
Yeah.
This way I can always,
I appreciate your organization, because it's always interesting to play a game like Minecraft with other people, and it's been a long time since I've put any time into Minecraft. And everybody has their own methods for doing things. Like, I always do stairs down to, bedrock, and usually the opposite is a tower straight up to the top, just so I can get the extents of the world, because for whatever reason, I find that entertaining. And then I like to build like underground habitats, an underground tree farm, and all the things for regular farming, things like that. It's just I saw stuff to do. I was like, yeah, it's fun. Let me do it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I'm trying to do is experiment more with. But one of my next plans is to try and do. Well, right now I've got this carrot farm, which has like 40 plots. By plots I mean individual squares, by the way, not different farms. And right now it's manual. You go in, you harvest, and you plant the carrots again. I'd like to have a lever that I pull, and it just has a wave of water that collects all the carrots, and then it places all the seeds again. That'd be pretty sweet.
Which I have seen done in previous iterations of servers we've had on the show with the network. People have done some amazing work, and one of the things I am really impressed about in Minecraft as a whole, for being this old 8-bit looking game type deal, with very simple mechanics for the most part, is that once they added circuitry and did the redstone and levers and stuff like that you can do, there are ways to make some pretty complex machines in that world that lets you automate a lot of things like that, just like Minecraft things, stuff like that. I've seen really good examples of sorting, where things you put in a chest, you return it, and it goes into basically the same kind of network of chests that keep all the kind of materials and items you want that are all behind the scenes.
I would like that.
It takes a lot of behind the scenes little shafts and stuff, but it works so that it automatically sorts. And then when you put it all back and hit return, it automatically puts them all back in the queue where they belong. And stuff, it's really like brilliant stuff. And it's basically mine carts with chests in them that are done by like a binary type thing, where the switches for once a Minecraft cart comes out, it keeps track of where it came from by tripwires and switching into like a logic thing, like a simple logic board in the redstone. And then when you go set it back, it automatically changes tracks to send them back where they belong, based on where they came from. It's brilliant, but it takes some behind-the-scenes work to do. So there's things like that I'm always impressed by, and I'll play it just kind of help with those. Plus, it's almost like when I've watched people play Terraria and stuff, where there's something very relaxing often about just kind of digging, right? Just kind of doing a simple thing where my goal is just this, and just going through the motions, repetition to get that accomplished, and then stopping, looking back afterwards, and being like, oh, I did that. Well, that was fun.
That is always cool.
That was cool. And I found that that's probably one of the biggest draws to games like Minecraft. And I've been researching now a little bit, or starting to look at the server side of it to see what other tools and things I can add to help the server have more features like the mapping and little stuff like that, so you can kind of see what people are doing. Because I remember the last time we had a VTW server running, I purposely built my house with a glass ceiling and a yard out front that had things written, so that if you were looking at it from the map, you would see it saying like Doc Dead's house, like an aerial view. And stuff like that. Stupid stuff like that. I do ridiculous things for my own. I remember fun. I had the Barbarian's Fortress, which was a 128 by 128 square foot monstrosity of like a castle within a fort. And it was all made of the same type of wood. And that's where the sort of joke came from, where Gohex can give you wood, because I had so much. I would just go out for hours and hours. I'd just chop down the forest, grow the forest. Chop down the forest, grow the forest. Over and over and over. And I had something like 20 chests full of just wood, and then I started building, and it wasn't enough. Well, it's funny though, but that is like a level of the little projects you set for yourself. I've actually been impressed by how quickly you've gotten to what you've already built and explored compared to like my pacing. Where I looked and was like, gee whiz, you spent an entire day digging here, didn't you? To get this the initial like rail system, and you set up like already the library and getting to the nether, and those little things were just like, yeah, that would have taken me a year, because I would have just not even thought about it until finally saying, oh, you can do that? Huh.
For me, it's partly, there's two things to it. One is efficiency. I don't like the idea of going mining without having a pickaxe which can make it 10 times faster. Like, why would I go and start a 3-hour project if I can do it in 10 minutes? You know? So that's a big part of it. That's also why I'm making a transport system right now, because I know eventually we're going to be wanting to travel around a lot. So that giant train system I'm making just now is completely unnecessary right now. But I know in 2 months' time, if this becomes bigger and more people play, people are going to love that, and they're going to be so grateful for that. So they can escape our little settlement and go make their own elsewhere along the golden brick road, you know? And finally, for me, Minecraft isn't about building. I find the building part kind of dull. I don't know what to do after this house, to be honest. I've made my house, and I put chests in it, and a bed, and a music player, and portal to a nether, and a library, and next a chemist set, and then what am I going to do? I've done everything as far as I'm concerned. Like, I don't know what other features I can do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna genuinely have to go and look into it to see what else is available. Because other than just exploring, I'm not too interested in building, so I need some actual features. I need a reason to build something before I build it.
Well, because for me,
just for the sake of a house.
For me, it's always like the tower is one thing just to see an extent, but then I like to sometimes rebuild. It's not nearly to the extent of what real creative people do, but things I know from other games. Things where I've seen people build like the tower from WoW with one of the zeppelins off to the side, things like that. It's just kind of fun, just to see that you can create something recognizable in the world for others to enjoy, where they're like, okay, that was cool. You know, that was like my glass house. This big dome with so many glass blocks, just so underneath it I could write messages. You know, and then starting to build kind of a castle that was like, well, what would I consider an epic castle? And starting to build it, clearing out areas, putting a moat around it, you know, adding little like traps or escapes and that kind of thing, where it's just like, you know, if I had the ability to go back in time and make my perfect castle, what would it be? And how can I do it pseudo but with Minecraft? And so things like that. But yeah, basically the message to everyone is that Ken and I have been playing it a little bit. So far it's just the two of us on the server kind of mucking about, mostly Ken. But if you are interested and would like to play with us, by all means, let us know. We'll get the information to you until I set it up as a more permanent solution. Other than that, though, other than Minecraft, Ken, what else have you been doing that's been geeky?
Good point. You should probably talk about other things, even though that's not where I spent most of my time this week. So when I've been actually, I mentioned before, when I'm reading papers at work, one, it's important that we debate a lot in our room, we talk a lot about controversial issues, and it's really interesting stuff that I'm easily fascinated by the conversations. I can get, and usually they're like several hours long, like 3 or 4 hours of just talking about interesting geopolitical situations, physics, I don't know, just anything, religion, just everything we find even somewhat interesting, we end up having a big debate about it.
Okay.
And it's great, I thoroughly enjoy that, but I need to do work as well. So what I do is I now, instead of distracting myself with my full focus being on talking, what I've been doing is playing music and or more so just now, a TV show. Okay. And that TV show of choice has been Stargate SG1.
Hey, the original SG1. That's so good.
Yeah. So good. I think I'm 4 episodes in. This is my 3rd time watching it. I love Stargate. So good. There's a couple episodes where I've been like, I feel like I should skip it because I already know exactly what the plot is and I still remember it so clearly. Like the one, like I think it's the 3rd episode, where Carter gets taken by this Mongolian tribe, and she like, it's all about like, on Earth women have rights, and then they're like, but here they don't, and then it's a back and forth about that for a long time.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I remember this very clearly, but I watched it anyway, and I still enjoyed it. But anyway, I've been enjoying SG1. I think my plan is to watch that, then Stargate. Yeah, Atlantis, then probably Universe, and then maybe the films after that. But I also kind of want to make my distraction educational as well. So I've been tempted to just turn on a bunch of documentaries, so that if I get distracted from work, at least I'm learning something. So that'd be a good idea. I've been playing Fallout 4 a lot in the past since it came out, but in the past week I honestly haven't even opened it. Not because I dislike it, and not because I never plan to go back to it, but because I finished the main storyline, and right now, either by sheer coincidence or something, I've only done 120 hours in the game. I say only. And while that's a lot, and I've done the main storyline, there's still, in theory, 200 hours of side quests in there.
At least,
and
right?
I've not found them all. So what do I do? I'm sort of running around, and my only quest is to continue roaming the wasteland with this one companion of yours, who I don't like. McCreevy, his name is. So I'm like, this is kind of a crappy quest. It's just telling me to have a companion. I kind of need to be doing something with them, so I kind of put off it right now because I just simply don't have any quests. Maybe if I can find a mod that'll point out all the quest starting places, that'd be quite useful. I might find that. I don't know.
Well,
we'll see. But
for me, have you like mapped the entire world?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's one of the challenges I usually will go back to, and I try to keep myself from finishing main quest line right away. I try to go like main quest line to an area and then talk and do everything I can with everyone in that area.
That's why I'm
and wander around the countryside, make sure I walk everywhere I can initially before fast traveling anywhere to try to get as many things.
Yeah. I did all the side missions I could until I had none, and then apart from the continue traveling with the creepy one. And then I went and did the main mission, hoping that I'd find some more side ones along the way. But the problem with it is, spoilers, I can't say it. Basically, doing the main storyline, I don't think it removes all side quests in any which way, but it does cut off some of your chances with some of them. So,
gotcha.
It might be a case of a second playthrough kind of thing.
You mean blowing up Nuketown? Right?
Not to spoil anything here.
Well, you say things like that from Fallout 3, but
yeah.
That's funny.
So, it's kind of a shame because I'm still enjoying it, but I will go back and do it again. I think I might actually make use of Power Armor this time, because I keep trying to, but one, the UI in Power Armor annoys me. I don't like it. I don't like the fact it changes it, and it just I don't use my Pip-Boy anymore. I don't like that.
Huh.
Secondly, I'm trying to be stealthy, so it's kind of the most useless thing ever, Power Armor.
What? Power Armor's not stealthy? Ka-kang, ka-kang, ka-kang.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I made some interesting ethical choices with my playthrough. I was a good character, and in my opinion, I did the right thing at the end. But
you're saying popular opinion might disagree? No, it's for the greater good. Genocide, just keeping it clean and keeping like the races pure, right? Nothing wrong with that.
To make it as spoiler free as possible, I did not. I'm not going to say who I killed, but I had to kill like somebody that I liked in the game.
Okay.
Of allegiance sort of reasons. It's like, nope, I choose these guys over those guys. But I like that guy that's in with those guys. Damn it! And then during a big battle, the guy who used to be my best buddy shows up, and he's hostile. And I was like, I gotta kill him. And so I had to kill him, and I imagined my character getting down on his knees, shouting his old friend's name as he killed him with his own hands.
Wait, let me do it in the proper spoiler-free version, but...
Exactly. Dumbledore!
That's funny.
Look, I am your father! So yeah, there's that. So I'm still enjoying it. I'll go back to it at some point. I installed Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein, yes.
So I bought 3 copies. I gave one to you, one to Graham, and I kept one for myself.
Very nice.
It was quite cheap at the start of December, and it was my plan to hand it out for Christmas presents. So
well, especially as we're about to get into the official Steam sales, which...
Oh, when is it, by the way?
Well, they were talking about some of the... I mean, there's already been sales going on a little bit, but I think it's starting, like, maybe tomorrow even. Like, it's this whole week coming up, but it's starting here soon. Like, the legitimate
I get
sales.
paid... Well, Kitten gets paid tomorrow, and I get paid on the 24th, so... That's bad.
And as we say again, if you want to participate in the gifting thread, jump into the forums, make sure you have an account, jump into the one under Show X about gifting, and you can follow along and gift each other, especially due to sales, because we try to only gift sale items, so it's almost like a white elephant, nice, cheap, and not too crazy. But definitely do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's always up to you what you gift, right? But
yes, but
generally
that's the
speaking,
idea.
The rules that I put in it was make sure you try to... There's 3 rules. Comment in the thread, it will entitle you to a gift from the person above you. That's the first one. Secondly, link your Steam wishlist in your comment. Thirdly, make sure your wishlist contains gifts worth less than $15, else you might not get something you want. In other words, you don't have to give somebody something from the wishlist. You can give them something random. But if you put things you want that are cheap in your wishlist, you're more likely to get something in your wishlist, is my point. So don't waste the opportunity of getting a game you want because it's not necessarily going to be the fact that people get you your train simulator for £250.
Yeah,
that's the one thing in your wish list. Cool. Also, to vaccine, I don't know if you're listening. Is he in IRC? No. He says he's going to be the first Santa. I'm actually going to be the first Santa, Tab. I will be doing that once I will get you your first gift once the sales begin. Is my plan. So please link your wish list into your comment, edit it in, and I will go and have a look, and I'll gift you something probably tomorrow if that's the case. So look forward to that. Otherwise, everybody else, go take part. Even you, Mr. Wayne, go and say hi. I know it's kind of socially awkward to go in and be like, hey, give me presents, considering just commenting will guarantee you a present for the person above you, right? So
my whole point is, I'm a gift. I don't expect any gifts back, and it usually goes back to I keep telling people, I'm okay. I tend to be fine. I buy most of the things I want anyways. Yeah. I did update my wish list in anticipation, but yes.
There's a reason I wanted to go first, because I have enough games. I'm happy. I'm not between games. I'm good. So, and besides, it's good that we actually give back to this community who gives us so much over the years. So I'm perfectly happy to be the first giver, not a receiver.
You dirty, dirty man. Yes.
All right. Where was I? Yeah, I installed Wolfenstein. I played for 20 minutes and then I uninstalled it.
What?
So I'm very picky with games. Really, 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 really picky. If I don't, usually 20 minutes is actually quite good for me, because normally if it's in the first 5 minutes and I don't have a good feel for the game straight away, I can uninstall it very quickly. Now, Wolfenstein isn't one of those games, to be fair. That's why it went 20 minutes, and I uninstalled it not because I disliked it, not because I don't ever plan to finish it, but because it was an okay game. But it's a 47 gig okay game. I only have 120 gig in my hard drive. If my choice is to have an okay game and have to uninstall a bunch of good games in order to play it, I'm not going to do that trade. Not for now. Maybe later. When I'm running out of games, I'll come back to it. But right now...
You need to go get yourself a 2 terabyte drive to have on the side for slower games. That you don't mind that they take a moment to load up so that you can keep more installed. Because I have
a 1 terabyte side drive, yeah, but I only have games on my SSD. I'm a bit... I have to. I can't stand it all.
I bought my 960 gig SSD just for games.
Well,
but I also have a
SSD, Mr. Wayne.
It was a sale, but I also have a 2 terabyte drive just for games. And so those are the games I just have installed in case we ever want to play it on a gaming night. And the SSD is the one where I play the games that I'm playing, like actively. So yes, but I understand. Just I'm the one where it's like, throw money at it. Just throw money at it.
Why don't we just buy more money? Alright, second last, I have one more I think after this one. My main Christmas present this year, I haven't actually talked about it, but what I chose to, or what I asked my lovely wife to purchase for me, was something a little bit odd and kind of sad. It wasn't a new gaming PC, it wasn't, I don't know, a car, it wasn't anything like that. I asked for a whiteboard.
Huh!
Because I like to work from home occasionally.
I say because organization.
What was it, sorry?
I said because organization.
Yeah, well, I do a lot of like brainstorming when I'm thinking out things, and I like to write it down. But I kind of hate my writing, so I don't want it to last more than 5 minutes. So I put it on a whiteboard so that I can wipe it away again. I mean, that satisfies me. And that way I can also, you know, it's always my current thing I should be working on, always literally on the walls around me. I don't really have a choice but to look at it occasionally, so that's a good thing. And so if I can do that at home, great, because I've got an office here, and I want to use it for work as well as for gaming, so that'd be brilliant. So I actually chose one that was down from £220 down to 50.
Nice.
It's 160 centimeters by 120, so it's this big, almost 2 meter by 1 meter whiteboard. It's going to fill a wall almost. And yeah, that's going to be brilliant. I'm going to just be able to write big formula that I don't understand all over it, and look at it and cry. I can't wait.
Nice.
That'll be good. But that's my main present. I think that's... Oh, I had one more thing I wanted to say. I can't remember.
If not, that's fine. Because that'll give me just enough time to talk about all... to at least get into the subjects I'm going to have to talk about here.
Oh, don't worry. We can go after the break as well.
Well, I know. After the break... No, trust me. The big part will be after the break. I was hoping to like segue so it just starts there after the break. because, so, yeah. Well, while you think, or as you think about it, I'll come up with a few of the little things I've been doing that have been geeky this week for my cred. Like I said, that's been pretty much my life. One of the main ones is since I got my 3D printer going last week, and is printing now even, as you can probably hear in the background, is that I want to keep it printing constantly. It's been nice, though, because I've been able to actually introduce a few more people to the concept of 3D printing, and it's excited some of the creative people I know out there of like, what? As well as for me, it's a fun way to give gifts and do things that otherwise I wouldn't. So, like, I went back through and I printed another ocarina, the Zelda-based, or, any kind of, but a flute, essentially. Yeah, I can't play this one for anything. But I need to print a bigger one because I think that's what's causing this one to not play well. But just playing with different materials, things like that, and being able to show people, like, here's some cool stuff. Well, one of the ones I just recently printed, and for people on the video wall will be able to see, is I wanted something I could have on my desk at work to show to people, to give them an idea of some of the things 3D prints can do. And so as I hold up in the video here, one of the things I printed was, and it's one of the classic things out there, there's always like certain models everybody prints when you have a 3D printer. This one is that of a skull of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. However,
that's really cool.
It's been modified with little electronic-looking and gear-like bits in it to be a Terminator version of a T-Rex skull.
That's freaking badass.
So this is one I printed, and there's even a stand that came with it that essentially I printed another color that says Tyrannosaurus Rex on it, and is one that I'm going to be using to keep on my desk at work to be able to show people, like, see, yep, that is a 3D print. And most of them I've kept raw, so you can see the lines. I haven't really cleaned them up too much, so that you can actually see that level of like how the extrusion happens, and I'm just kind of like, oh, that's really cool. So that's one thing I've been doing. But with that, I've actually been doing several things with the different prints. Another one is for cosplay, and mostly because she won't be watching, it's going to be one, like her Christmas present, is La Campette is working on a costume, and she'd asked about for a character that she's doing, one of the poses he does has him with a knife, with the knife in his mouth kind of thing. And so I went scouring the internet for a design that basically looked almost just like the knife that this character uses. Ooh. And I think I did a good job finding one. And so I've printed now this basically model knife for her to be able to use in different shoots and stuff, and painted the handle, which apparently is still tacky, as I'm getting my fingers dirty. But will hopefully work out for it. It's nice because I've got a silver filament that will give me somewhat the look of a blade without it actually being metal and concerning anybody that it could be an actual knife. I've done that. And then partially as getting ready for essentially this week and what was doing for the Star Wars premiere, one of my favorite things I printed out just a couple days before me going to watch it, or in the 2 days prior to me watching it, was I printed out this lightsaber.
I saw that on Facebook. It's very. I actually showed some of my friends at work it because I thought it was really cool.
What's really neat about this model is it's actually, I did it, it's not painted or anything, but there's two tones to it, and that's because this was designed with multiple pieces. And so I printed one set of the pieces in black filament and the other in silver, and just assembled them, and that's all I've done to it. But it gives it the distinct look where people were able to easily identify it as a lightsaber. The other cool thing is the engineer, or the person who designed this, that did such a great job, did it with essentially threads built into it, so that this is fully assembled without any glue. It's exact. Wow. You can actually screw it all together. And that's been something where I took it around work on Friday after seeing the premiere of Star Wars, and because it was in the mood, people were talking about it, and it just really jazzed a lot of people to see like something that you can print like this. Basically took me 2 days, maybe 30 hours of print time, and came out just feeling and looking really great. Like, it's probably one of my favorite. Not really, but that's because it's mostly hollow. Like, even the bits that I did individually are mostly hollow. It saves on material, so it saves cost, as well as weight, so it's comfortable and everything. It's still mostly really durable because the outside walls are thick enough, but you can change all of that depending on your settings for printing. But that's just one of the things I did. And this was probably one of the things I had the most fun with, and I've been walking around with it a lot, and so it's pretty awesome. And as Kuro's talking about, one of the things that's also been a trend, at least here in the United States, and I believe elsewhere as well, is he said that there's a maker group at the library down there, and they have a $200 3D printer design to share. And what's really cool is that it's a big Delta printer, which are the ones that let you print some very large designs. in a similar sense, basically American libraries are trying to find a way to stay relevant when everyone's gone digital. And one of the ways they're doing it is by creating essentially makerspaces or opportunities to get hold of and use things like 3D printers, where they'll just charge you the print price in many cases. Some are actually free to a certain level. And you can bring your own design and print things off on their printers so that you don't even have to go get a printer yourself. But equally, there's nice because you can now get 3D printers fully built, ready to go for $300. They're not huge, they don't print mass volumes, but $300.
That's
all the way up to as much as you want to spend for as big as you want to do. And I'll have more to say about that after CES at the beginning of the year, because I always go by the 3D printing section of CES. But yeah, just a thing out there. So yeah, I've basically been going mad with 3D prints now and just kind of keeping it running. And in fact, right now I have one going in honor of the Star Wars movie. I'm printing off one of the Imperial shuttles, the triple design ones where the wings go up and down. I'm printing one of those off that'll hopefully will be about that big or so to also showcase either on my desk or something, just to have around and be like, Star Wars, awesome, deal with it. So that's kind of what I've been doing with 3D prints, which has been a great amount of fun. The other thing I did is I finally got the parts I needed for the star I put as my tree topper. For those who have seen that picture where I had done the Mario 8-bit star to make my topper for my Christmas tree with the glow-in-the-dark filament. Well, I finally found, of all places at Walmart, one of the replacement single bulb plug setups where you can just plug it right in. And so I shoved it up there, but I put an LED light in instead of the regular so that it doesn't get so hot and melt. And shoved it into the star, turned on, so now it lights up with the rest of the tree, which makes me silly happy. The last thing I wanted to bring up before we get to the break and before I come back to talk in a no spoilers way all about the new Star Wars movie and my experience going to see it is, honestly, today, just before the show, I got my new loot crate for the month. And so I just opened up the first part of it, and one of the things I like about it is they gave me, since I honestly don't own one, a t-shirt that is essentially an ugly sweater t-shirt, but it's all like geek space related. And so this isn't like Star Wars or something like that, but it's basically got the Mars rover, it's got a satellite, a bunch of the solar system, things like that as an ugly sweater kind of print for a t-shirt, which I very much enjoy. The other thing it gave me is essentially a code for Halo 5 that I'm probably going to try to give to someone that I know that has an Xbone 1 and Halo 5, since I don't. And almost like a lunch pail that says UNSC for Halo, which has a little clip on the side here.
That's cool.
It's like an ammo crate that came with everything else in it because it was big enough. And I'm really happy because I looked at the book to see what's in here. And the main things, there's little things like, oh, that's actually really awesome. An emblem from Galaxy Quest, from that movie, because it's such a good movie, so that's actually pretty epic. The other things, though, because Star Wars, and I will likely wear these, BB-8 droid socks that are official Star Wars themed socks. As a guy, it feels like I can never pull off the cool socks, but darn it, I will find a reason. And the other thing, and this is epic, is in snow gear, a Star Wars pop of Han Solo, which is just awesome. And I will tell you, because I love me some Star Wars, and yeah, so getting Star Wars gear is always fun.
That's cool.
Yay, Loot Crate. I love that they keep up with things. At the same time, I'm sad because they've now tempted me with other Loot Crates, because they've now created things like pet crates, and they've these epic crates, like a Call of Duty, a Star Wars crate, to, at the same time, they have now things like anime crates, and all these different crates that are monthly subscription things are more expensive, but they have cool stuff, because the anime crate's like $40 or $50 a month. But you get like a hoodie every month that's an anime theme. In fact, the first one I think was like a Dragon Ball Z one or something, right? It's like, ah! And so...
Now other people can know that you really enjoy trash, so that's good.
No, I didn't say it was a Twilight one or anything like that. I said anime. You gotta understand, Ken. You gotta get your memes right. But so it's just, but they've now added all these other things where the same theme exists. In a way, I think it takes away somewhat from the original Loot Crate, because with the original Loot Crate, they would kind of touch on all those things, and now it's kind of like, so we'll see. And yes, Hando, and they're talking about the winter sale, and they're saying it may start the 22nd. There's some leaks as to when and why and how. We'll see when it does kick off, which will be 2 days from now, so keep an eye out and go nuts when it hits. All right, with that, we are going to take a break. And from that break, I'm going to play another song that's going to be pod safe Christmas music, because Christmas music. And then we'll come back, and it's officially going to say it's going to be a combination Geekoscope and Geek Cred. But essentially, that's going to carry us out as we are going to try. I'm going to try to talk about the new Star Wars without any spoilers. So look forward to that. We'll be back right after this. And you're listening to Show X. Hee hee hee.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. Listening to Show X on btwproductions.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the show. We are going to kick things off and get into
Technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
It's kind of a combination of Geekoscope and Geek Cred, but basically, I'm going to talk some Star Wars here. Gonna try desperately, not to ruin the experience for anyone else. And here is why.
Well, you better not, because I've not seen it either.
Oh, that's the thing. There's so many people that haven't seen it because, arguably, already, people should know, this has been the biggest opening weekend so far of any movie ever to date. In pre-sales alone, around the world, basically. In pre-sales alone, from the Thursday night, Star Wars had already made like $57 million. From Friday sales alone, they were up to essentially the $250 million mark, which has been the mark to beat in the past for opening weekend. And that was basically Friday. They are already on pace to basically kill the lifetime records of all the biggest movies ever, like Avatar, Titanic, and things like that.
Harry Potter, definitely
Harry Potter. 2. Yeah, all of them. This is looking to beat all the records. Don't know what the numbers are today. You can look them up, Ken. You might want to go look them up if you'd do me the favor, like opening sales numbers right now as I start getting into this. So to start it off, my story is I had no plans on when I was going to see the new movie, Episode 7 of The Force Awakens, at all, because all the pre-orders and pre-sales had happened, and from it I was basically lost where Fandango had crashed. I didn't have anything to do anything for that, and so I had a bunch of friends who had already gotten all of their tickets together for their families, friends, stuff like that. I was kind of left on my own, where my cousin and I were talking, we need to see it, but when? Don't know, we'll figure it out. Well then, one of my good buddies that we game with, Kazuyuri, who also runs the Saber Forge group where they train lightsabers to do mock battles. he had a group set together, and apparently someone bailed on him, and so he threw it out to social media like, hey, does anybody want to go see this? We're going on Thursday, not just for the premiere, but for a marathon viewing of all the movies leading into the premiere. And it's like $65, who wants to go? I'm like, me? Yes, and I had to tell my cousin, so I found a ticket. Went in, I had to talk to work real quick, say, can I take Thursday off for Star Wars? And of course people looked at me and were like, well, yeah, we figured, go ahead. But it really was a sense, but no, you don't understand, not just earlier, this had all of Thursday off. Because the theater hosting it was the same theater I went to the the Hobbit premiere. They did a marathon where I spent like 9 hours in theater. This one, they did it, and it was all 7 movies in a row with small breaks in between and a break for kind of brunch and a break kind of for dinner. And the viewing time, or at least the time I was in the theater, ended up being 24 hours. It started at 1 a.m. with the first movie. My friends had all got there at 7 to wait in line, but they didn't open it until 9 for the people to get in and start actually being in the theater. So I showed up around 10-ish that night on Wednesday night. Got in there, got settled, hanging out, talking to people, and I was trying to, and a lot of people did this, nap ahead of time. Like, okay, we're here, I got a seat, let me pass out so I can get ready for the movies. Unfortunately, I had just finished printing off the 3D model of the lightsaber I had. I brought my combat saber with me. I was wearing one of my Star Wars shirts, the one I only wear for premieres, which is my Episode 1 Darth Maul shirt that I have that glows in the dark. I had my Darth Vader hoodie on, all into it, set to go, and then had too much excitement, could not sleep, and basically just sat and chatted and talked. I maybe caught a half-hour nap through between 10 and 1 in the morning when they started the prequels. And then just kind of threw out some of the movies, and a lot of people did this. Threw the prequels on, I napped here and there. I kept crashing at different scenes, but would wake up at action scenes like, oh yeah! And then as the movies progressed, I stayed awake longer and longer for more and more of the movies, to the point where I think I watched pretty much all of Return of the Jedi and getting ready for the break before The Force Awakens. Now there's a few things with that. One, that was epic, but I have to talk about seeing all the movies in order. Did something where I tried, because I mean, notoriously a lot of people, and I'm one of them, don't really appreciate the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. There's a lot of the decisions that were made by George Lucas and how he produced it, the acting and scenes just shown that, in a way, felt like they just weren't Star Wars to us. Like, yeah, this is the universe, you're telling us it's Star Wars, but why does it feel so different? Why doesn't it really make me just joyful and happy? Why am I so critical? Am I just old and curmudgeon about it, or what? So watching them, I went in with the premise trying to make it so they'd be enjoyable again. And I even went with the whole Darth Jar Jar concept, because in the first episode you try to look at it as though Jar Jar Binks is actually the one in charge of the whole Sith, and is leading Palpatine down, and is actually trying to endear himself with the Jedi so that he can manipulate everything from behind the scenes, but right next to them. And that was entertaining, and you can see examples of that, but even that didn't hold true, because it's so slapstick and so annoying that I lost it. Yeah. Like almost 3/4 of the way through the movie, I was like, it's Darth Jar Jar, frick! He's just a bumbling idiot. I hate him. I don't care what I do. I hate him. And so I lost it. So then I tried with episodes 2 and 3 to go through it with the idea that another thing I'd heard to make it more entertaining is go through 2 and 3 thinking the whole time that it's not that, or what, how do you do it? There's another relationship that's happening that's really the like big deal in the movie, and that is the whole time Anakin's trying to win Padme and show his love for her, which is, in my opinion, creepy as all get out, because in episode 2, he's like 20-something years old, but he comes off as such a child, and she sees him as a child, and yet he's doing the whole fawning after her, like, oh, but Padme, I've loved you forever, I always thought of you this way, and she's like, that's nice, you will always be that little Annie kid to me. And so it really does look like he's forcing himself on her, and it's kind of creepy. Like it's a kid trying to say, hey teacher, sleep with me. And it just is creepy as all get out. But at the same time, if you look at it as though Padme, the part of the reason she's not paying him any attention initially is because over those 10 years where he's been training, there's a good chance that she was hooking up with Obi-Wan Kenobi the whole time. And that there's a relationship there happening that has happened in the past. And if you watch 2 and 3 with that mindset, it actually kind of makes it better.
But Obi-Wan's a good Jedi. He's not going to go do that.
Why not? She wasn't with
He's
him.
He's a good Jedi.
Well, and that's it's like over those 10 years that they had a thing. And ever since Annie starts like trying, Obi-Wan basically backs off and kind of lets it happen. But if you watch some of the interactions between Obi-Wan and Padme, you can see where there's like something there. Some part of them have seen each other naked. I see this in their eyes. But I just say that because if you watch the movie with that perspective, it actually makes it better, because then when Anakin gets all angsty about the betrayal of her, and bringing Obi-Wan unbeknownst to the planet with her when at the very end of the third movie, and then he sees Obi-Wan over her shoulder and thinks she brought him with, he's like, you lied to me, you betrayed me, and all this, and it actually fits much better. Like, what a betrayal. That he was professing his love to her all the time, they got married, but in reality, she was still kind of with Obi-Wan or liked him. Actually, that was one that it worked for the most part. It made it more enjoyable. Still doesn't hold up. The prequels still suck balls for more than a few reasons. Part of it was also because watching the originals after it, even though they were the bastardized, enhanced versions, and I say that because while they don't change the story completely, they get rid of some things that maybe were hokey before. For me, I like the Ewoks, and I like the Nub Nub song at the end of Return of the Jedi, where then they add this real BS one where all the planets celebrate at the same time together, but the Empire's not dead, just the head boss. I don't know. It doesn't really fit. Watching them all in order highlights that in the prequels and in the remake part stuff that George Lucas did, he didn't even watch his own movies before making the prequels. Because he did at least one piece that I've been focusing on that really, really pisses me off, where he kills his own canon. Nothing extended universe, none of the stuff in the books, none of that. In his movies, he kills his own canon. And what he does is in the original trilogy, well, I'll start with, it's the way that Padme dies at the end of episode 3. And essentially what she does is, she's on the table, she's heartbroken because Anakin, has turned to the dark side, force choked her a little bit, this and that, so she's just brokenhearted. And the medical droid even says, like, there's nothing physically wrong with her, she just has a broken heart, essentially, whatever. We don't know why we're losing her, right? Well, so that part's cheese, right? It's pure cheese. She has just enough energy to give birth to the twins, to Luke and Leia, to name them, and then die. And as I've been saying it, she basically, in doing that, becomes the most selfish, and I can't say the word that I've said outside of here because we're on the air, the most selfish example of a horrible person ever known.
Most selfish, female
selfish,
dog.
Petty, no, I said worse than that, the C one that pisses women off. Because she's so selfish that she's like, oh, woe is me, my husband went evil and now, and beat me a little bit, and so I don't have the will to live. Even after spouting out these 2 kids, I am so selfish, I can't stick around to help raise them or do anything. I'm just going to pass off and die because I'm so weak. She went from being a fairly strong character, the queen, the senator, to a broken nothing woman in a matter of moments throughout the series. And it just so it totally takes away anything that was beneficial about her character. She becomes just a plot piece that says, yay, you spawned out Luke and Leia, otherwise go away because you're not relevant otherwise. And what pissed me off about that is that breaks canon from the original trilogy when Luke and Leia have a moment where they talk, and Luke specifically says, I don't remember my parents at all. How about you, Leia? And she says, I don't remember my dad, but I remember my mom. And I remember her being really sad all the time. And what it meant was it was a story that basically they'd said in the original trilogy that while her mom and she didn't grow up together, right? She didn't grow up with her mom, but there was at least some period of time where her mom was there. And it would have been so easy. She
remembers her birth, that's all.
Yeah, exactly. She remembers about 5 seconds of time or a minute before her mom died, but she was really sad in that minute. And it was one of those things that if they had kept it right, Lucas would have been able to just say, okay, she gave birth to the kids, and then in order to protect them, split them off, and then took Leia with herself, spent some time with, but she was injured, she was hurt because of what Anakin had done with her, and so she eventually died, right? That could have worked and been totally perfect.
I know what happened. It's obvious.
Alright, tell me.
Space magic.
Yeah, space magic killed her and changed history and time.
She felt her sadness through space magic, obviously.
Hey, I like space magic, but this is one of those things that Lucas did to himself. Those were the movies that he says are all canon, and then he went and made these other ones where it's like, did you not even watch your own damn movie? And like I said, for the most part, I was enjoying them throughout, but when I had just watched all of them in order, waiting for the premiere of the new movie, that stuck out bigger than anything, because I was watching it, and the death, I was like, well, that was cheesy. and then watched the original trilogy again. And at that point when it happened and Leia said that, I was like, "Oh, Lucas, you ass! How did you miss that yourself when these are your movies?" It really pissed me off. There's so many other little things.
But even then, there's thousands of people work on these kind of movies, right? Like thousands of people. You'd think somebody would have noticed that and been like, hey.
But there is a story about the fact that in the prequels, when Lucas made them, he hid himself away and didn't let anybody else work on the script, unlike the original Star Wars where he had a whole group of people helping him make them. And that's why we got such beautiful movies for the originals. In the prequels, he basically did it all himself. He wouldn't even release the scripts to anyone. He wouldn't show the actors what they were doing until the day they got to set because he was so worried about secrecy. Exactly, and what do we get? Flat performances, terrible actions, and no fact-checking and a bunch of miscontinuity throughout the series. Kills it, right? Alright, so that's just the experience I have with the prequels, going into the originals. The originals are great. The only challenge I have is that with the enhanced versions, my angst about that is they add nothing of value to the series. All they are is fluff to make things bigger and more open or more filled looking, which actually worked really well in the original series, having things like Tatooine being very sparse. Very few people. It actually made more sense that this is a desolate planet. And then he kept adding crap. And one of the other worst ones that was just terrible to watch is the whole scene where Jabba first has the Twi'lek gal dancing for him, pulls her in, lets her die in the pit with the Rancor, when you first introduced to the Rancor beast.
Yeah.
In the enhanced version, he has this whole musical piece going with all these different singers and dancers, so it's this big, now a massive group of like all these people watching this girl get killed. Which makes it just even more cheese and worse, where it's like the original was fine. It showed Jabba's an ass. It showed that, he had this one slave girl and treated her like nothing. You didn't need to add a whole bunch of CG nonsense and change and add this girl singing kind of weird piece that honestly focuses on the camera where the singer in it goes like, "Woo, I'm here," and stuff where it's just such fluff nonsense that didn't need to be. And added nothing to the story, nothing to the scenes, took away from it more than helped. And it's again one of those, the hell were you thinking, Lucas? Anyhow, alright. That's my discussion of the old.
Not quite. You asked about the opening day records. So Star Wars The Force Awakens has already put a stamp in the record books, kicking off its domestic release with an estimated of $120.5 million on Friday opening. That opening number
just
includes
Friday, right?
Just Friday. That includes a record-breaking $57 million from Thursday night previews as well, to be fair.
Okay, so Thursday and Friday. Gotcha.
The 120.5 opening day for Star Wars marks the largest Friday opening day and single-day records previously held by Harry Potter and the Deathly Shadows Part 2 at 91 million, so it beat it by a third of itself, which is crazy. Which is what, 30 million? 30 million, 0.4 or something.
That's huge, yeah.
29.5 million difference. In just its opening day, the film also broke the previous December opening weekend and single-day records, both of which were held by The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey.
Yep. Very nice.
Which was 84.62. The overall opening record of who won the actual opening weekend record previously was Jurassic World with 208.8. But it's estimated that this was also beaten by another 40 million as well. So, yep, it's just breaking all the records.
And we don't have the numbers yet for yesterday, yet alone today, and who knows over the week, right? Because there's so many people where it's sold out, they can't even get in, that they're just waiting till like the middle of the week to watch it. Other people looking at taking days off, all this stuff, right? And I know so many people are planning. I'm of the opinion that if anybody were to now say, "Hey, dude, I've got tickets, there's an opening right now if you want to go," I'd go again, kind of thing like I did with Jurassic Park back in the day.
Yeah.
Alright, so now I'm going to try to switch modes and talk a bit about The Force Awakens. And I've been practicing this because one of the things specifically is doing the finding something where so many people are looking to watch an event like this new Star Wars, right? It is hugely anticipated. There's a lot of concern and hope at the same time because after the prequels, people were burned. And after seeing even things that I thought were wonderful, like the Star Treks, the new direction, because having J.J. Abrams, people are concerned because Star Trek was all lens flares, flash, super shiny environment where Star Wars doesn't feel like it could be that or should be that. Can he do both, right? Can he do the shininess that was Star Trek and then transition over and still do a gritty, good Star Wars? A lot of concerns, a lot of hopes, a lot of worries. Plus, it's now under Disney. This is the first Disney version of one of the movies. Are they going to treat it right? Or are we going to be, and there's like some memes out there about all Disney-fied versions from the trailer where they threw like Mickey Mouse ears on things and like Donald Duck skeleton in the back. So it's like, are they going to go that far, right? What is going to happen with this movie? A lot of anticipation, a lot of hope. What are we going to see? So, with that in mind, and like I said, I am trying my best to talk about it without providing anything that would take away from the experience for people that want to go see it. So, the first thing I will say, Disney, much like they did with Marvel, I believe, is putting forth their best effort in providing the best possible production value on movies when they're taking these loved IPs and trying to create a whole franchise off of it, right? Continue the franchise. Where I believe like all the Marvel movies and shows and stuff that have come out have had really great quality to them, I also believe that the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, is a well-made movie. And I say that meaning that the casting, I think, was very well done. The people they chose for the different roles fit. On top of that, the way those actors performed each of their roles, I thought was wonderful. The graphics, CG, blending of effects, both real world and computerized, I think is perfect to the point where you only reason you think something is CG is because you realize you can't actually do that in reality, right? But otherwise, you almost can't tell when something was a set piece that they did on the ground with real models and real sets to what was digitally done in the background. There's a few exceptions where, again, it's like you're in space looking at something and it's obviously that's not a real space shot, right? Because we haven't been to that planet.
Spoilers, we didn't know there was space in this. Damn it, Wayne.
Shush. And as well as the score, music, stuff like that, all fitting and well produced. So there's no quality of production that you can argue is bad in this movie. They definitely put forth their A game. Everything is done really to a high quality. Everything.
So what you said so far is effectively what I expected as the bare minimum, right? Like I knew Disney would do that. They're not going to push out a bit of crap for Star Wars because they know how much money they can make from this.
Well, it's just a concern, right? But I will just say the movie was so well made. If you have no other thing than seeing a movie that was done with good production stuff, this one was. Everything about it was a well-made movie, right? On top of that, and this is where I'll start skirting the line, but I'm not going to spoil, the pacing of the movie was all well done. I describe it as essentially all the Star Wars, if you didn't know, run between 125-ish minutes to 140 minutes. Every single Star Wars, all of them, including this one. Which kind of surprised me. I was doing the math for how long it would take me. It's like, all of these are right around that 133 minutes or something. All of them. Interesting how well done that is. Same thing with this. In that time frame, I argue there's barely a time to take a breath. Because the pacing is so consistently going, there is always something happening that you want to pay attention to.
Good.
The entire
Why go to a film if you don't want
2+
to be
hours
watching
of
it,
movie.
right?
Well, I'm just saying, there's not even a slow scene. Even the introductions where they kind of build you into a character are done in such a way that it's slow, only because someone's not dying at that moment. But it's actually so well paced that you're just like, this is great. This is great. On top of that, I don't believe personally there was a single line written in it, something that was spoken by a character, that wasn't necessary. There were no fluff piece lines. Lines were delivered to give you plot, to give you content, or to provide humor or backstory, and all of it was meaningful. So I think the writing was super solid.
Nobody went to the toilet is what you're saying.
It's just no stupid stuff. There was no slapstick just for the sake of being ridiculous, because essentially there were no Jar Jar moments in the movie.
Wow.
Okay, so they did a really good job of making sure everything that was needed to be in the movie was there, and they kept giving you something to pay attention to. Much how I've talked about with the Marvel movies, and for me, what it means to do good storyline production in a movie and really solid plot lines in a movie, I felt like everything that was done in The Force Awakens was properly earned. Every plot point that they turned to, or thing that a character did, or a reason or motivation for why a character did the thing they did, they prefaced it by something earlier in the movie, a scene that wasn't as pivotal, where they did the same kind of action, right? They showed that someone had that mindset, that someone had those skills, and then later it became necessary, and they showed that they did it. But because they had already prefaced it before, it worked. It's like in the second Avengers. I talked about in the plotline where they'd start the movie with Thor's hammer being on the table after they've been drinking and hanging out, and everybody comes in and takes a hand at trying to pull up, because of course Tony Stark with his, his old ego like, it's a trick, blah, 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 starts pulling, gets the Iron Man glove, starts thrusting it, gets War Machine to help, can't get it off, everyone takes a go, and then to help set the scene for what it means that it's not just a trick, that this is a real thing, when Captain America goes to yank it, because he's so pure heart, it just shakes that tiny bit, right? It just goes in, and you see Thor's face in the back go like, oh shit. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I love that. Just a very quick side note, I think I mentioned on the show before, but it's one of my favorite things about the movie and the lore that I read up on it after seeing the film, Avengers 2, was apparently the reason that Captain America can't actually lift it, even though I think he does in the series at one point, is because Thor is willing to kill for justice. If he sees a bad guy, he will go over,
he will do whatever it takes,
and kill him.
Interesting thought, yeah.
Whereas Captain America always did that at war and stuff, but generally speaking, he doesn't like to. If he
you say that, but I just watched. You say that, but I watched Winter Soldier just the other day, just like 2 days ago, again. And at least the way they're taking Captain America in the movies now, that's not the case, because the nice, beautiful thing about Captain America movies, as opposed to just the Avenger movies, Captain America is a soldier first. Yeah, he will happily use a gun just as close as his shield. And there are scenes where he just straight kills people. Because they're the enemy, right? Hydra's taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. and they're coming out and want to kill the world. And he just openly grabs a gun and just like, pow, 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 takes his shield and whips it out at someone else. And I look at that as like, thank you for still being a soldier and realizing that there's times you do have to kill. I love that about the Captain America movies. But no, I see what you're saying. But what I was going on to is that whole ability for a plot to take it, to realize that you can't just throw everything at a scene and have people accept it. That it works best if you take some time to build that into the story, to then revisit it and show then how it fits in as a more pivotal thing, right? And so much like that Thor's hammer thing, when later in the movie, when Vision basically picks it up like nothing and says, we've got to go, and everyone goes like, yep, we got to go, because obviously he's a good guy. It works, right? It sets that up. Same thing I say in Marvel with the Hulkbuster armor when they're fighting against Hulk, right? Because before that, when they talked about Veronica, they talked about Bruce Banner and Tony Stark working together to build that addition to the Iron Man suit so they could specifically fight against the Hulk. So when you see the fight, you're like, well, it makes sense that he's got all these specifically built tools, right? It makes sense that they did it this way. It makes sense that they have this tool for the Hulk. It was built to fight the Hulk. And so they did the same kind of thing in Star Wars, I felt, where there are things they do later that become necessary for the plot and important for the character to do that they hinted at and teased earlier in the movie. Either in a quick joke or something, because they do humor, but the humor they do is right in line with what's going on in the scene. It's not anything that takes away from it. And it's something they build up to. So that when they finally do the humor piece of it, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened. And so I feel like they earn every moment of the new Star Wars movie. Earn it. So that you can believe it, you can accept it, and just keep going on with what's going on in the story. And to me, that was epic. Alright. How much further I go? Because the problem is, I can't talk plot, I don't feel like, in this Star Wars, because I feel like anything I talk about that even touches the plot is a spoiler. Because I feel like this movie is so dense with content that you can't talk about any scene and how it really happened without spoiling something about what's going on with that scene. And part of the joy. And one of the reasons I'm so sensitive about not wanting to spoil anything is because there were moments throughout this movie, and I'll put my own personal experience, because I also, it's one of those, I don't want to give it a 10 number or this or that. I can tell you if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, which Ken, if you do that backwards work for me right now, what Rotten Tomatoes gave it as a score, because I've heard rumors but I haven't looked it up myself. I just know it's high, and Rotten Tomatoes is notorious for giving movies more realistic reviews. What number did Rotten Tomatoes give it?
Well, the actual critics have given it 95%, and the audience itself has given it 93%.
Which, for a score on Rotten Tomatoes, is essentially unheard of.
that's a good film.
So, because that's the thing. I have my taste in movies, and there's disagreements everybody is going to have with what they love and dislike. But what I say about this one, I'm not going to give my final review yet, but as I'm talking about like how they earn the scenes, this and that, I don't want to spoil it because I feel like they do such a good job revealing things in this movie and providing the plot points they're trying to convey to the audience that everybody I saw in the theater who did it, everybody experienced those things together at the same time in the same moment and got the same kind of feeling. You could feel the energy in the audience and hear the laughter at scenes that were laughter, hear the oohs and ahs at scenes that were designed for it, and recognition of what was happening, where you knew communally everyone was appreciating the movie on the same level. And so I even had a friend at the Geekiarchy party, Joey, the filmmaker, who was like, "Oh, I don't care about spoilers, spoil it." And I was like, "You know, we won't spoil it." And it's funny because as a whole, at least everyone I've seen on my Facebook feed, everybody I've talked to has the same feeling. They don't want to spoil it. Not even by accident, because they want everyone else to go out there and get that first viewing experience. That, like, you get to see what I saw for the first time and react the same way. Because there's such a purity to it that, and I'm actually doing it now as I think back to it. My personal experience, and I saw it in 3D, which I didn't know I was seeing in 3D until they gave out the glasses. They did it real 3D and it looked gorgeous. But for essentially the first 20 minutes of the movie, I cried. And the reason I cried was because I was sitting there with so much joy that I was watching this happen. I kept having to wipe off the glasses because they basically steamed up on me and I smeared them with something. Dude. Because I wanted to keep watching. And I'm tearing up now because it was such a magical experience being there, and kind of for the first time where the prequels didn't do it for me, this one did give me that sense of like watching a Star Wars movie for the first time in a theater where it was new, all these things were happening that I didn't know what was going to happen next, and as it was happening, I was just in so much awe and had so much joy on what was happening in front of me that I was tearing up looking at the screen like, I can't believe I am sitting here experiencing this right now. I can't believe how happy I am right now. It could have been because I was punch drunk for being up for 20 plus hours and doing the whole Star Wars thing. But just the way the introduction went from the scroll, like I was good. I didn't tear up at the scroll. I know a lot of people who did. As soon as Force Awakens comes up, I know a lot of people were crying then. For me, it was just the joy that was happening and reading the storyline, because the scroll comes up and it tells you this is where we're starting the movie, right? It's been 30 years, here's where we're starting. You read it and you're like, awesome, I'm ready, I now know where we're at. And then they just start going with it, right? And they did, so hard to talk about, but they did the same cinematography that they do in all the movies to keep it in line with that same, how do you start a Star Wars movie? You start with a scroll. You start with a certain kind of opening scene.
Yep.
I think every single Star Wars starts with a space scene over a planet of some sort. Like, all 7 of them now. And it goes from there, right? And the way they did it, it's still different and new in a way, but it follows the right mindset. And a lot of people have talked about this movie, The Force Awakens, essentially is a throwback to Episode 4, to A New Hope, in a lot of ways. And I tend to agree in all of those positive kind of aspects of really introducing a world to you. For anyone who's a fan, you know what Star Wars is about, and so you get that. But holy crap if it doesn't feel like Star Wars. And that's one of the things that just broke me up and makes this, to me, such an enjoyable movie. Every moment in that theater, I was like, I am in this, this is happening, and I'm loving every second of it. With that, oh man, the characters are fleshed out. There is not a single flat character that I experienced in this entire movie. Even characters that are supporting cast, that are just there to do a single role, had depth to them. Where, partially because, and this isn't a spoiler other than say you can prepare yourself to look for it, or you can just wait and see if you catch it when you watch it. There were so many cameos in this movie, I thought it was silly. So many cameos of actors I never would have expected to
I'm
have
not totally
happened.
surprised by that. It's kind of a good film. Who doesn't want to say they've been in Star Wars, right? Any
Exactly, right?
major actor, any major
Right?
actress will
But-
want an opportunity to be like, yep, I was in Star Wars. I was in Star Wars. I did that.
Well, and it's one of those things that, and I almost want to like ask the IRC, since you're the live audience and you can as well, to what level you would allow me to at least talk about, because I kind of want to mention at least some of the people, the actual real people that were in it as cameos.
I would rather you didn't personally.
Okay, no, that's what I need to know, right? Because there's a lot of information out there.
That's part of the experience. And
Yeah,
I
well,
think
you
we
see,
know that's going to come up. Then
so
that
I
kind of
won't.
detracts.
In that case, I won't even do that. I will just tell you, be aware that if you're looking and watching the movie, if you think you see someone you recognize from something else, you probably do. And there's one scene that there's at least one character in it who's a major actor cameo that you don't even get to see their face. You just get to hear their voice as they're playing a role.
That's cool.
That's one of those, you just got to pay attention. And you just got to listen, and you just got to be ready for it, because when it happens, I missed it, right? I missed it the first time I watched, and other people mentioned it, and I was like, what? That person was in it? Where were they? And then the person told me, I was like, what? That was so-and-so in that scene? Oh my god! Because at least one or two famous actors are behind costume. You know, there's at least one famous actor who's playing an alien. You know, that kind of thing. And it's just like, and you don't notice it at first, but then, and even the other one that I was told, hearing it now, part of the reason I need to go watch it again is to catch what, if I could actually hear the actor's voice or see it when they're doing those roles, right? Because I didn't. I missed it completely. The only actor I definitely got was like a straight up, you see the person's face and you're like, well, that's so-and-so from that show. Oh, man. And I was just like, missed so many of the others. And there's other roles that are played that are pseudo-famous where you're like, oh, that's so-and-so from that series, right? Or that's in... So it did have a bunch of people in it, less from movies and more from shows, but there were a bunch. And that was joy, right? But even that wasn't focused in a way where you're like, oh, now this person's going to take this role or something. No, they had a cameo at best with maybe a line. And it just fit the whole movie. It didn't take away, it didn't add in a way that detracted.
It wasn't forced.
Yeah, none of it was forced. Nothing in this movie was forced.
Did it awaken?
Well, except for the awakening of the Force, nothing else was forced. What else can I say about this? Again, no plot. They do an amazing job in this movie, in my opinion, of making you love characters with simple interactions and scenes. One of the discussions that I've had where they talk about is there's this whole interaction relationship between essentially in the prequels between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn, stuff like that just never really feels real. It feels forced. It feels like we just stuck in a room together, play nice, versus we've been fighting together for years and this is a natural thing that happens between us. In this movie, due to the quality of writing and acting that occurred, they were able to, in a matter of moments on screen, get two characters that interact a couple times throughout to feel so genuine and so real that a relationship or an actual emotion exists there, that it completely eclipsed essentially all the acting and writing of the entire prequels. Where they made it so you care about the characters in this movie. You believe the relationships that exist. And I'm not saying relationships like guys going out with girls or anything like that, but just the interactions between characters. You believe the meaningfulness of it. They do such a good job of endearing you to the characters in it that even like BB-8, the droid, you know, the new droid?
Yeah,
it's a ball with a dome on top, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen the vibrator. Yeah.
They even do a good job in such a way of making that inanimate, or not inanimate, but non-living character feel so emotionally attached and like give it such a personality that it's instant like, holy crap, they did that. I am down with BB-8, right? it just, God, they do it so well. Even characters they introduce that follow one role and are one piece of it, they give it in such a way that there's a backstory that makes you want to know that character's story even further. That makes you see it and go like, yes.
So far, Wayne.
By all means, by all means.
How much did they pay you to say this?
Alright, for me, and it's cool because they gave me a lanyard that says Star Wars on it, that came with this cool button that says The Force Awakens, had this really cool Stormtrooper head, that basically shows the times that each of the movies were being aired, so you could get there in time for the start. My experience for watching the marathon was $65.
And was it worth it?
Absolutely. Every moment of it. And it's funny because, again, in a way it built up, right? Episodes 1 through 3, I mostly napped, slept through, and kind of remembered certain scenes. I was a little annoyed because I missed some pivotal moments I wanted to see, the few moments. Like, the epic, because still arguably one of the best lightsaber battles ever is Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Maul. That whole sequence is like, what?
Yeah. Yes, it's awesome.
And because they have, and it's what I missed, and it's what freaking Lucas was an idiot about when he released Episode 1. The trailer for Episode 1 should never, ever, ever, ever have included the scene of Darth Maul doing the double lightsaber. That was just wrong. It was such a missed opportunity to have a moment in the actual viewing of the movie where everybody's jaw would have dropped. In Episode 1, when they did the battle, because you saw Darth Maul and you're like, who's this badass? You could have shown the single sword, the single lightsaber battle to a degree.
Yes and no. They did the exact same thing with this film where they show whoever it is out in the snowy area, the Sith guy, and his lightsaber comes out, and then the two bits of the sword come out.
But here's the funny part, right?
Has that been shared online?
But here's the thing.
How many times has that been modified to become a broadsword from an axe?
So funny joke, right? And I will tell you, I see the comparison, right? But him having the dual thing on the blade is not a reveal. It's just like, who's this character with what's that blade? The way they actually did it in the movie with Darth Maul doing his was actually meant to be an epic reveal, because everything prior you'd seen him with the single blade fighting, and it's only at that moment that he stops. He's done the single blade, sticks his hand out, the single blade goes whoop out one side, and then the second one comes out separately, and it is specifically shown as a reveal. Like, holy crap, that just happened. There's a dual-sided lightsaber. WTF. It was done in Episode 1 as a reveal. Kylo Ren's lightsaber that just has the palm parts coming out the side wasn't done as a reveal. It just happened and continued on. So it wasn't the same kind of like, this would have been an epic moment in The Force Awakens. It's just part of a scene. So the trailer actually didn't reveal anything other than, wait, what's that lightsaber? They actually showed in the trailer of Episode 1 Darth Maul do the whole boom, one out, the second out. Which was epic, but now I knew. And so going into Episode 1, I didn't get it. I was like, oh hey, there's that scene now. Oh wow, that would have been really effing awesome if this was the first time I saw it.
Fair enough.
And they didn't, in Force Awakens, that didn't happen, right? And besides, there's so many epic things that occur in The Force Awakens that Kylo Ren's lightsaber is like the least anything ever.
Oh, okay.
Like, the least. It has like, I don't even give a shit about that. That's nothing. Because there's so many just amazing things that happen and huge things that happen. I don't believe this will be spoiler-esque. But
if you have to preface that concern,
no. I really have thought about this. One of the things I also think they do beautifully in this movie versus the previous movies they've done is a representation of the light and dark side of the Force. Okay? The reason I say that is, in previous movies, they've done a thing where they say someone's angry, like Vader, right? Whenever do you see Vader, like, mad, using the wrath of the Force? It's not. He's just like, well, he's on the dark side. You accept it. Luke, when he's struggling in the fight against, even against the Emperor, and the Emperor's openly catcalling him, saying, like, just use the dark side. Strike me down. It's no big deal. You'll just become my disciple. It's so, like, matter of fact that you don't really feel like there's rage in Luke. There's frustration. There's concern. His people are getting killed and this and that. He wants it to end, but he's never, like, really angry, right? Where you fear he might actually go to the dark side. The only thing I'm saying about the Force representation is I feel like this movie does such an amazing job of really highlighting a difference between the light and dark side of the Force compared to any of the previous. That they just do a really good job of saying, this is light, this is dark. And you can feel the difference. I say that, like I said, I don't believe it's a spoiler, it's just they do actually address that there's a light and dark side, right? And when they do it, it's in a way that I think really is separated, that never has been done in a movie before, that I really appreciated. That for me was like, thank you for finally going past the words people said, and showing
for me,
that...
it was like a way of life, almost.
It is.
Like,
it is.
It's kind of like being left-wing or right-wing. It wasn't necessarily good or bad to me. Like, I didn't see Jedi as being good. I didn't see...
And there's that.
Because to me, Sith was also feeling emotion and passion, and
it was.
being in love was not allowed as a Jedi. I mean, all that kind of said to me was restrictions and...
It's been talked about. Yeah, it's been talked about that
right?
that the Jedi were actually very structured and somewhat overbearing.
Yeah.
I just say that the way they highlight the differences on each side of the Force in this movie was refreshing to me, and more poignant than I had seen done in any of the previous movies. That it was more obvious what was going on. God, just want. Okay, that is all I'm going to talk about with plot with the movie itself, other than I say my recommendation, if you even kind of like any of the Star Wars movies, I highly recommend you go see The Force Awakens. I would recommend seeing it today before the weekend's over. I would love to get the numbers as big as possible for opening weekend, if you have the opportunity, because I want this to crush all of the movies out there. My own opinion, I would go see it in the theater multiple more times. I would like to go see it in IMAX in 3D, because it's gorgeous.
When is the next one coming out?
I don't know. There's a schedule out there for it, because they're talking about some in-between movies. They were talking about some TV show type things and other stuff like that. And so it's one of those that it's like, I don't know exactly when the next one's coming out, but it will. And I will tell you, as far as I'm concerned, at the moment, Disney, you get all my money. After seeing the movie, I'd seen things in stores, and I was kind of like into it. I have a higher desire to go back and buy that $150 BB-8 remote control Sphero toy now than ever prior to the movie. They did such a good job of making me care about characters and love the things I was seeing.
They made you a consumer.
I had a 2-hour-plus nerdgasm watching The Force Awakens. And one of the hardest things I can have now is not having the opportunity to go in depth about some of the things I felt and saw in the movie compared to what others felt and saw. That I have to not get into it.
There's no reason why we can't say to people, you've got 3 weeks to go and see Star Wars. Then we're going to talk about it.
I am tempted, right? I am tempted because I wish I could do it now because I don't want it to be so not fresh that I'm like boom. But I may in fact set up a time to go see it again just before having a discussion. Where I think what we'll do is have a post where it says, on this date, Show X is going to be nothing but spoilers. Maybe even do it as a round table.
Star Wars specific.
Well, maybe have a round table of like 4 people dialed in to where we just talk Star Wars for a whole show. And caveat it, put it up in lips or a list on the front, put it on the video feed, everything that says, this is the spoiler-filled version of our show, that if you don't want to know, go away. Otherwise, it's all here. Speaking of that, though, as I get rid of past the point where I'm saying, go watch Star Wars. Please, go watch Star Wars. And enjoy the hell out of it. I want to talk a little bit about things around it, right? Because just like you had said as you were talking in the article about the guy coming out and yelling primary spoilers to a crowd of people waiting to see it, I think it's absolutely appropriate they beat the snot out of him. You bastard! I understand why people on social media are saying, if you spoil Star Wars, I will unfriend you. I actually agree completely, because holy crap, this is an experience people need to get for themselves. Please, nobody take away from that. It's so good. Let people love it. Let people enjoy it. Just go. So, with that, one of the things, like you said, is the spoilers piece. I understand, like, for me, it's a good thing, but I've actually seen on my social media and all my friends, even at the party at Geekiarchy, we spent so much time and effort avoiding spoiling it to others because we were like, no, I loved what I experienced so much, and I want you to love it equally enough that you experience it for the first time yourself. Just go see it. I don't want to talk about it around you. But let me know when you see it, and trust me, we will go down that path, and we will have that day. We will spend hours talking about it once that's done. At the party, we had moments when the people did walk away and do their other thing, that we got together in this huddled little group, like 2 or 3 of us, and there was one point where it was just 2 of us together, like almost heads together, gushing over Star Wars and the things we noticed and what we saw, that it was silly, but we were just like, oh my god! And we got it expanded. Then Joey, who hadn't seen it, came upstairs, and once he and his girlfriend came upstairs, we were like, shush! All of us looked at each other, and we just got quiet. We let them walk by, and we were like, okay, we can't talk anymore. Because we can't ruin this for them. We can't. And
That's cool.
I mean, it was just amazing. So there's that piece about just don't spoil it. Just go enjoy it, but please see it.
Definitely.
Now, the other side to that. Oh, go ahead.
Turn your head to the right. This wasn't me this time, I promise.
What? Who? Why? Damn it, Kuro! Damn it, all of you! I told you all! Stop it! Well, Kabi's been doing this as well, and you bastards! You do realize I have more games than time. I have heard Undertale's amazing.
A Steam library of
trust me! Oh god!
thankful.
Between that, good old gaming, and everything else, God. Thank you very much, Kuro, you bastard.
Well,
So
what did he get you?
he got me Undertale because everyone's been talking about the story and joy and hilarity that is Undertale. Simple, silly little things, but they say it's all about the story. It's all about the funniness that is in reading what the dialogue is and stuff like that. So I'm actually looking forward to that. And if I'm sitting here,
it's just very popular this year. I've heard a lot of good things.
I've heard
about it.
nothing
I tried
but
it
good
myself,
things.
And it just wasn't for me.
Well, it's just
I
like
see this a good game, but
it's
really
like
not
the
for me.
Stanley Parable, right? The Stanley Parable is not really a game that you go do anything, but you just listen to the dialogue and experience what it's telling you. And I wait in rooms in Stanley Parable just so like the voice in my head can yell at me for not moving, right? You know, stuff. Or it's a game like that where it's entertaining to see what direction someone went and how they came up with all the dialogue they got. Funny as heck, right? All right. The last discussion piece, and this is, there has also been, and I totally knew this was going, but I have a few friends that we were talking about yesterday who got pissed. Because there's also a trend of people who have gotten out there and basically said, I'm the one person in the world who hates the new Star Wars. I'm the one person in the world who thinks it's flawed for all of these reasons. And I will tell you my opinion on what I think it is. I think you have some people in the world who always have to be that guy, that person. The person who goes and spoils a movie for someone. Oh no, they might genuinely hate it, right?
I sympathize with these people,
No,
actually.
no,
Because
but here's the thing.
I frequently feel like the guy who is like that.
Okay,
with anime, for example,
fair,
I frequently
fair.
feel like I'm the only guy in the crowd who... But it's because the crowd I hang out with is a geek crowd.
Yes.
So I feel kind of... I suppose it's a way of feeling left out and sort of seeking comfort, like...
Well, but okay, so there's
I
two
don't get
things,
it.
though.
I don't like it. I don't
But
get it. I don't know why.
there's-
Is there anybody else?
Well, there's a point where it's okay if you dislike something the majority likes. But it's how you go about it, right? When you're the person who has to be the first one to post a huge blog post, to try to be the guy that has that first viral YouTube video, because essentially you're trying to be that guy. You're trying to be the guy who's the person who's special, the little flower that hates whatever, right? You're trying to be that guy. Versus, yeah, I had some problems with it. I don't think it was that great a movie. And leaving it at that, right? No, they have to be the guy.
You go on to make a status of it on Facebook.
They're making a
specifically
scene.
saying, people, look at me.
Yes.
Look at me, be unique.
Yes.
I think that's the difference.
And basically what I'm saying is they're hipsters. These are a bunch of effing hipsters that have to be the one person who can say, I disliked this massive thing that the majority of everyone in the world loved because I'm that special. I'm the one person to do it. In fact, one of the people who said it went a further step to try to get people to hate them. I honestly think they're trying to make as much noise as they can so that someone can follow their blog or watch their video, even if it's through negativity, that said, well, of course any true Star Wars fan is going to hate this movie. Right? That is such a bait. That is such a person coming out there like...
That's literally called the true Scotsman fallacy. I mean,
right? The same thing you've
You're falling
experienced.
in a known trap. I mean, it's silly.
And that's what, but it's people doing that kind of crap, trying to say, look how special and how unique I am because I'm not following into what the masses are doing. You know, because people who are sheep are going to like the new Star Wars. And that's what people have said. And it's one of those things where it's like, you whiny little bastard who's just seeking attention. And that's really my opinion. You are just seeking attention. Yeah. You don't have a valid view about why it's wrong. In fact, one of that articles that almost basically calls people out saying, you're not really a fan if you liked it, spends 95% of the article talking about why it's an amazing movie. And then spends 5% of it saying, but here's the flaws that make it terrible. And it's like, wait a second. You're full of crap. These are people who are attention whores who are seeking out being that guy. And I have no business for them, no place for them. And I won't say my normal comments about what they could do to themselves, but just go away. It's one of those same things like we talk about with religion, politics, stuff like that. It is fine for you to hold an opinion. Stop trying to change everybody else's and forcing your opinion on everyone else in the world. Just have your opinion and get along with people. Because you know what? It's much more mature to maintain separate, different opinions from other people that you still maintain friendships with and realize that that's just one opinion. That doesn't define a person 100%. Stop trying to be special like that. Stop trying to be such an ass. If you didn't like it, say, you know what? Hey, I didn't like it. But don't go into a big, long rant about why and try to get an article get pimped up so you can somehow become famous or relevant. That is so sad and cheese. And in honesty, I feel bad for you and for anyone who actually supports you in that diatribe that you go into. Alright. That, for me, is my initial blah of love and emotion that goes around along with The Force Awakens and Star Wars and everything that's going out. I tell you, thank you, J.J. Abrams, for giving me another first look at a Star Wars series and initial emotional attachment to something that I couldn't say if I ever thought I would feel again. It was, to me, so special and amazing. I can't wait till I have the opportunity to see it again. And equally, I cannot wait until I have the opportunity to sit down with all of you out there on the air, all of my friends and stuff like that, and have a real solid discussion about the things you love about Star Wars, or just what you noticed and what your experiences were. I can't wait. So yes, we'll set a date. It may probably be after the new year because I have some things doing until then, and CES, stuff like that. So maybe we set it up for not the weekend after CES, because that's what I'll be talking about that, but maybe the weekend after that. Okay. That we set up our official avoid us if you don't want to hear about Star Wars, because this is happening. That should give everybody out there about 3 to 4 weeks to find a time, or 5, to go watch the new Star Wars The Force Awakens. Please take advantage of it. I want to share this with all of you, and I want to hear how you experienced it and the things that you loved. And by all means, feel free to prep for it by sending emails in the show at showx@vtwproductions.com. Just put in the subject matter, right, Star Wars spoilers or something like that. Something that says, like, let's talk Star Wars. That would be a great subject line for anyone who wants to initially get that off their chest if they don't think they can participate live. And we'll just hold that email until such time as we do that show. Alright. Ken, it's time for us to end the show. I know I monopolized that second half.
That is
but
totally
I felt like,
okay, sir.
in a way,
I think everybody
it was.
enjoyed that.
I felt like it was my duty. I actually was going to feel very bad if I hadn't seen this movie before this show. Because that's me, right? I'm that geek. I needed to.
To be fair, Star Wars is totally overrated. I'm just lying.
Ken, unfollowed by everybody on the interwebs.
Fired from ShowX.
Right.
You have been listening to ShowX on vtwproductions.com. Thank you very much for listening in, everybody. We do appreciate it. Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. Very important one. Check out the forums. Go to vtwproductions.com and click forums at the top. Go into the ShowX board. There is the Xmas giving thread. Tabaxi, now that I know you're listening, be sure to go check your messages. I sent you one there. Just put a post in the thread, and you will get a free Christmas present. There you go, done.
Nice.
However, you accept the caveat that you're giving the next one out to the next person, right?
Yep, this is a lending tree. Yeah, everyone has to keep giving.
It's all the spirit of giving. So make sure your wish list has a bunch of stuff in it too, of variant prices. Also check us out on twitter.com/VTWShowX, twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Wayne here, and twitter.com/GoHex for myself. Check us out on facebook.com, search for ShowX there, and you'll find I post a lot of gaming memes. That's pretty much what that page is dedicated to.
Well,
now, is
Facebook,
me.
and I'll post out the sales, the deals, like this weekend where we both had free Call of Duty Black Ops 3 for anyone who played it, free weekend of Rainbow Six, and oh, by the way, discount from the rare times I've ever seen a Call of Duty game discounted this heavily this early into its release. Holy crap. So if you were thinking about it, Hando, I know you were thinking about it, this is a great weekend to pick up Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So things like that. Hopefully we succeeded in a spoiler-free show about Star Wars. I don't know if I can do it again. But with that, please join us now after the show for the gaming night. If you don't have the details, you jump into TeamSpeak, download TeamSpeak. Details are on the front page at vtwproductions.com on the left side, just under our play button there. But come talk to us after the show as we talk more games and perhaps play, I don't know, some Minecraft, some Black Ops 3, whatever it is people want to get into. Some Rocket League if you have it with the new hockey mode, all those kind of things. Regardless of that, though, thank you very much for listening to the show this week. We always appreciate it. Please continue to listen to all the shows on the network, as well as to support both us with our Patreon, things like that, as well as to support all the shows on Alpha Geek Radio, because we love the guys over there, and thank you very much, Nomize, for giving us another outlet and way to get to so many people, not just through the straight podcast, but through things like TuneIn Radio and all the different features where you can catch us on every different, like, caster out there, so you can see us on the Roku, you can see us on, if you have a means of putting digital content on a media thing you have, you can probably find us thanks to what Gnomewise has done with Alpha Geek Radio, so keep track of that as well. With that, you've been listening to ShowX and BTWProduction.com. Anything last words, Ken?
I will not be in the gaming night at least for a while. I'm going to go do some boring housework, but I'll hopefully be in later for some Minecraft if it is interesting.
Woo!
Shoot me a private message or an email or whatever, a tweet if you want the IP, and I will send it over to you, okay?
Thank you very much, everyone, and we will catch you again next week. I will, wait, not next week, I'm still here, it'll be after Christmas, so I also want to hear what anybody maybe got for Christmas in your emails about anything amazing.
Yes.
Alright, ShowX, VTWProductions.com, we are out of here. Thanks, everybody!
Goodbye. See you in the next zombie. Good night. Also, God.